I never thought a single phone call could change everything in my life, but that's exactly what happened. It was a cool, crisp autumn day in Chicago when my phone buzzed with an unfamiliar number. I almost let it ring, but something compelled me to answer. The voice on the other end was unmistakable, despite the years that had passed. "Fria," she said, her tone a strange mix of formality and something sharper. "Fria," I managed, striving to keep my voice steady as my heart raced. What was going on? My estranged sister was calling with shocking news. Our grandmother had passed away. Yet it wasn't just the news that threw me, it was the way Fria delivered it. Her voice carried a sharp edge, as if there was more on her mind than a simple announcement. "I thought you should know," she said, a hint of mockery lacing her words. "I'm sure you're busy with your modest life." I could almost feel her smirk through the phone. The sting of her comment hit hard, but I forced a neutral tone. "Thanks for letting me know. I'll make arrangements to come." Her words didn't just hurt, they unleashed a flood of memories. Growing up, Fria had always been the favorite. Her natural charm seemed to win everyone over, especially our father. Meanwhile, my efforts often went unnoticed. After what she had done, I hadn't spoken to her in years. She had taken so much from me, and that betrayal prompted me to cut ties, not just with her, but with most of the family. It wasn't just losing Algot that cut deep, it was how it highlighted the imbalance I had always felt. Algot had once been my fiancé with dreams of a future together, until Fria's magnetic pull drew him away. The heartbreak wasn't merely the end of a relationship. It was a profound betrayal that left lasting scars. Our family was a complicated tapestry. My father, stern and unyielding, clearly favored Fria, who mirrored his temperament. My mother, though kind, often found herself caught in the middle. She supported me as best she could, but it was clear that Fria had always been the apple of their eye. After the breakup, I chose to leave that painful chapter behind. I quit my job as a school administrator and focused on building a life with my husband, Foki, a tech executive who loved me for who I truly was. We settled into a cozy suburban home. Our life wasn't extravagant, but it was filled with love. Our 6-year-old daughter, Emily, brought joy to our world with her passion for drawing, even sharing her artwork on a growing YouTube channel. Yet, despite the happiness I had found, Fria's call stirred up old wounds. The thought of returning to the family home for the funeral filled me with dread. It had been years since I had stepped inside, and the memories were a bittersweet blend. My grandmother had always been my champion, the one family member who had shown me kindness no matter what. Her death marked the end of an era, and Fria's sudden reappearance felt like an unwelcome pull back into a world I had tried to escape. The days leading up to the funeral were filled with preparations, but I couldn't shake the feeling that Fria had ulterior motives beyond announcing our grandmother's passing. When the day finally arrived, I stood before the old family house, its appearance unchanged yet somehow different, as if it held the echoes of our childhood within its walls, echoes of laughter, arguments, dreams, and disappointments. Inside, the air was thick with both grief and nostalgia. I spotted familiar faces, some clouded with sorrow, others wearing masks of insincerity. As I moved through the crowd, my gaze landed on Fria, who was surrounded by admirers, her presence commanding attention as always. She looked as polished and composed as I remembered, her charm effortlessly drawing people into her orbit. Watching her, a wave of unease washed over me. Despite the years apart, it felt as though nothing had changed. We were still ensnared in the same old rivalry, playing the roles we had grown up with. During the funeral service, just as eulogies were being delivered, Fria managed to catch me alone. "It's been a while," she said, offering a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Yes, it has," I replied, forcing a smile of my own and striving to keep my emotions in check. "How have you been?" "Oh, she replied, her voice dripping with a sweetness that felt anything but genuine. "Life's been interesting." I could hear the subtle challenge beneath her words, the familiar competition simmering just below the surface. In that moment, I realized this wasn't merely a funeral. It was a confrontation with the past, a reckoning with the betrayals and choices that had shaped both our lives. Little did I know this encounter would lead to revelations that would shake everything I thought I knew about Fria and our family. The tension leading up to the funeral had been unbearable, and now it was reaching its peak. I tried to focus on my own family, Foki, Emily, and the quiet, steady life we built together, but the pull of my reunion with Fria was hard to ignore. The echoes of the past felt louder than ever. As I entered the living room of the house, it seemed alive with those memories, as if the walls themselves were guardians of the secrets we had buried long ago. I felt Fria's gaze on me again as she approached, her polished exterior intact. This time, her smile seemed more genuine, though it was still tinged with an undertone I couldn't quite trust. "I've been meaning to catch up," she said, her voice laced with curiosity. "It's been so long since we've really talked." "Yes, it has," I replied, struggling to keep my emotions in check. I studied Fria with a mix of curiosity and frustration. Beneath her confident facade, I knew there was a labyrinth of deceit and manipulation. It was hard to ignore how casually she dropped Alvet's name, my former fiancé, now her ex-husband, into the conversation as if their failed marriage didn't affect her at all. Each mention felt like she was reopening old wounds. Alget had once been my entire world. We had planned a life together until Fria, with her usual charm and cunning, swooped in and took him away. The betrayal had shattered me, leaving me broken and unsure of whom to trust. Now, watching Fria flaunt her seemingly unaffected life stirred all that pain back to the surface. As the evening wore on, I knew I couldn't let these feelings fester any longer. I needed to confront her to seek the closure I craved. As the crowd of mourners began to thin, I pulled Fria aside, finding a quiet corner in the house. "Fria, can we talk?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady despite the tension bubbling inside me. She regarded me, her eyes narrowing slightly. "Of course. What's on your mind?" "I need to understand why," I said, my heart racing as I struggled to maintain my composure. "Why did you take Albert from me? What made you think it was okay to just steal him away like that?" Her expression shifted from feigned cheerfulness to something colder and more calculating. "It wasn't about taking anything. Algot and I had our own connection, you just didn't see it. You manipulated him," I shot back, the words spilling out before I could hold them back. I shot back, my voice trembling with anger. "You knew how much I loved him." Fria shrugged, completely unfazed by my rising emotions. "Algot made his own choices. You need to let it go. Life moves on." Her dismissive attitude was infuriating. "You've never understood, have you?" I asked, feeling old wounds reopen. "It's not just about Algot. It's about how you always seem to get everything handed to you while I've had to struggle for every little thing." Fria's face hardened. "Don't blame me for your problems. We all have our battles. Maybe if you had been more assertive, things would have turned out differently for you." Her words cut deep, striking at insecurities I had fought so hard to bury. I wanted to lash out, but I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay composed. "This isn't just about Algot," I said, my voice quieter but still firm. "It's about our family and how everything has always been stacked against me." Before she could respond, we were interrupted by distant relatives arriving, pulling me away from the confrontation. The conversation remained unresolved, and the rest of the evening passed in a blur of faces and condolences. But my mind was stuck in the past, replaying everything that had been said and what remained unsaid. The next day, as the funeral wrapped up, I felt a strange mix of relief and apprehension. Our family dynamics were as tangled as ever, and I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to uncover. Fria's perfect image was beginning to crack, and I was determined to get to the bottom of it. Leaving the funeral, I felt heavy with the weight of all that had gone unsaid, yet I also felt a renewed sense of purpose. My confrontation with Fria had opened a door to deeper truths, and I wouldn't let it close without uncovering everything. I was ready to face the lies and deceptions that had shaped our lives, no matter what they revealed. In the days following the funeral, an uneasy calm settled over me. I kept replaying my conversation with Fria, searching for clarity amid the chaos of emotions. It was clear that the issues in our family were far from resolved. My mother had apologized, but it wasn't enough to mend the rift that had grown over the years. During this time, Foki and Emily became my anchors. They sensed the storm inside me but offered comfort instead of questions. Emily, with her innocent curiosity, threw herself into her YouTube channel, sharing her latest drawings with the world. Her joy was a much-needed light in all the darkness. It didn't take long for things to escalate again. Fria, ever the drama queen, took to social media to throw subtle jabs at me, her posts dripped with sarcasm, painting her life as a picture of success while implying that mine was dull and insignificant. Watching her try to diminish my happiness so publicly was infuriating. That's when I realized we had a weapon of our own, Emily's YouTube channel. One evening, after seeing yet another cruel post from Fria, Emily and I decided it was time to push back. We filmed a video together, using her platform to subtly counter Fria's lies. The video focused on the positives in our lives, showcasing Emily's artwork and the love in our home. But it also contained clear references to the falsehoods Fria had been spreading. What started as an innocent video quickly gained traction. People began commenting, and soon our video and Fria's posts became part of a larger conversation. The cracks in Fria's perfect image were starting to show, and people were beginning to see her for who she really was, a woman hiding behind a facade of success and charm, concealing a lifetime of manipulation. As our video went viral, the backlash against Fria was swift. Comments flooded in, pointing out the inconsistencies in her story and questioning her integrity. The spotlight she had craved for so long was now illuminating her flaws. Meanwhile, Fria's personal life was unraveling as well. Algat, already struggling from the fallout of our confrontation, made a serious mistake at work. The pressure became too much for him, and he was fired from his job as a software engineer. The strain took its toll on Fria, who soon made a drastic decision. She filed for divorce. Their son, Inar, was caught in the middle of this chaos. The perfect life Fria had worked so hard to present was now crumbling around her, and I couldn't help but feel a sense of vindication. Finally, the truth was coming to light. The truth was finally coming to light. I watched as Fria's life unraveled before my eyes. Her once privileged world was collapsing. The final blow came when her son, Inar, was placed in a care facility due to her unstable situation. It was a stark contrast to the life she had once flaunted so proudly. As the family dynamics shifted, my mother, who had long favored Fria, approached me with a heartfelt apology. For the first time, she admitted that her favoritism had been a mistake, and that it had caused me immense pain. "I'm sorry for everything," she said, her voice heavy with regret. "We should have treated you better. Now I see the hurt we've caused." While her words were sincere and I appreciated them, the damage done over the years couldn't be easily undone. Though her apology was a step toward healing, the scars remained. I chose to maintain a cordial but distant relationship with her, focusing instead on what truly mattered: my own family, their happiness, and our well-being. In the midst of these revelations, Foki and I decided it was time for a break from all the chaos. We planned a joyful outing to an amusement park, giving Emily a chance to have some fun and allowing us to reconnect as a family. It was a beautiful reminder of the simple joys in life, the love we shared, the laughter, and the bonds between us. The trip was exactly what we needed, allowing us to step away from the drama and refocus. As we enjoyed the rides and the carefree atmosphere, I realized that while the past cast its shadows, the future held the promise of light. Fria's fall from grace and my family's apologies brought me a sense of closure. Though the journey wasn't entirely over, I felt ready to embrace the present and look forward to a brighter future. In the weeks following our family outing, a deep calm settled over me. The turmoil that had once dominated my life was finally beginning to fade as I looked around at Foki and Emily, grateful for the peace we had found together. I realized just how much we had grown through the challenges we faced. Fria's downfall was painful to witness, but it served as a stark reminder of the consequences of envy and manipulation. Her attempts to belittle my life had backfired, leading to her own ruin. Her divorce, the placement of her son in a care facility, and her tarnished reputation were harsh but inevitable outcomes of her choices. Algat, once a central figure in my life, now existed only as a distant memory. After losing his job, he struggled to regain his footing, but I felt a detachment from his hardships. My focus had shifted entirely to my own family and the life we had worked so hard to build. Foki and I continued to nurture our relationship, finding strength and comfort in one another. Emily thrived in her creative pursuits, and her YouTube channel remained a source of joy and positivity in our lives. Watching her grow, express herself, and find happiness reminded me daily of what truly mattered. Then one day, I received a letter from my mother. In it, she expressed her sorrow over how things had turned out and asked for my forgiveness. While her apology felt heartfelt, I understood that healing our relationship would take time. I responded kindly, acknowledging her regret while emphasizing the importance of focusing on moving forward. The family dynamics had shifted permanently. The experiences of the past had imparted valuable lessons about resilience, forgiveness, and the importance of standing my ground. Healing from those wounds would require more than time. It necessitated understanding and a willingness to let go of the resentment I had carried for so long. Reflecting on everything that had happened, I saw how the pain of the past had strengthened my family's bond. Foki, Emily, and I were closer than ever, and the trials we faced together deepened our love and appreciation for one another. We found comfort in the small, everyday moments that brought us joy: Emily's drawings, Foki's quiet support, and a sense of peace that now filled our home. As summer transitioned into fall, I began planning a new project. I wanted to channel everything I had learned into something positive, so I decided to start a community initiative aimed at helping families navigate conflicts and build stronger relationships. It was a way to use my experiences to support others facing similar challenges. Looking back, I could see how far we had come since those turbulent days: the confrontation at my grandmother's funeral, the revelations that followed, and even the social media drama had all contributed to my profound transformation. Fria's story became a cautionary tale, but it also highlighted the strength I had developed over the years. I had learned to move forward with love and grace, and that made all the difference. As I closed this chapter of my life, I felt a deep sense of closure. The journey had been long and difficult, but it was also enlightening. I was ready to embrace the future, knowing that whatever challenges lay ahead, my family and I would face them together, with Foki by my side, Emily's laughter filling our days, and my community project taking shape. I knew that the strength of our family bond, forged through love and resilience, would guide us through any obstacles that came our way.